if you means that do it. Burger
Welcome to the third hour of Airchecks. Suspense is a radio drama series broadcast on CBS Radio from 1940 through 1962. One of the premier drama programs of the golden age of radio, was subtitled radio's outstanding theater of thrills and focused on suspense thriller-type scripts, usually featuring leading Hollywood actors of the era. Approximately 945 episodes were broadcast during its long run, and more than 900 still exist. Suspense went through several major phases, characterized by different hosts, sponsors, and director/producers. Formula plot devices were followed for all but a handful of episodes. The protagonist was usually a normal person suddenly dropped into a threatening or bizarre situation. Solutions were withheld until the last possible second, and evildoers were usually punished in the end. In its early years, the program made only occasional forays into science fiction and fantasy. Notable exceptions include adaptations of Kurt Siod Max Donovan's Brain and H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror, but by the late 1950s, such material was regularly featured. Here is Life Ends at Midnight as originally broadcasted on February 17, 1944.
Roma Wines present Suspense. Roma Wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
Salud.
Your health, senor.
Roma Wines toast the world. The wine for your table is Roma Wine, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is the Man in Black, here for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California, to introduce this weekly half hour of Suspense. Tonight from Hollywood, Roma Wines bring you Miss Fay Bainter, Mr. Ralph Morgan, and Mr. Dane Clark in a suspense play dealing with a mother and a son and a lodger who kept an appointment with death. And so, with Life Ends at Midnight, and with the performances of Fay Bainter as Mrs. Bates, of Dane Clark as her son Walter, and of Ralph Morgan as Mr. Chalmers, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
That's right, Mom. It's your little sonny boy, Walter. You still remember my whistle, eh?
Oh, yes, But what I didn't know
Never know when I'll turn up, eh, Mom? What's the matter? Do we have to stand here in the hall?
Oh, no. Come in. It's just... Come in, Walter.
Well, it's the same old crummy joint.
I do my best to keep it clean, Walter.
Yeah, I know. Regular old Mother Hubbard. You'll have to clean up the whole south side before you get the magoo out of this flea bag. Oh... Boy, am I tired. Up all night in a stinking day coach full of snoring jerks and squalling babies. Babies are the worst. All they do is bawl and slobber.
You left Pittsburgh last night?
1 a.m, didn't sleep a wink. Yeah, look at my collar.
But tomorrow is Monday. You have to be at work in the morning.
Sure, What's the matter? You worried?
Oh, no, I just...
Don't just. Can't a guy come home and see his mother once in 6 months? That's a mother for you. You break your back, you sit up all night to see your mother for one day, and she tells you have to be at work in the morning. How do you like it?
Walter, I'm sorry. I didn't miss you so. I just worried about...
Yeah, I know. Well, don't worry so much. It makes me nervous.
Here, sit at the table, dear. You must be starved.
Oh, all right. Now it's like coming home.
Oh, my baby. I'm so glad to see you. You did come just to see me, didn't you?
Who else? Hattie Lamar?
Well, of course you came to see me. It's just that I always worry so about you,
Forget it. Well, what's to eat?
I was just making a chop for my lunch. That's all there seems to be in the house right now.
That'll be enough for me.
It'll be ready in a minute. Now tell me about yourself, your job.
Never mind about me. How are you doing?
Well, I try not to complain, Walter. Things are not easy. Prices high. Rent's going up all the time, even on this old house. Honest, I don't know what I'm going to do if things don't...
You had some bonds Papa left you. You had about $2,000 bonds he left you. You still got
Well,
them?
I'm trying to tell you, Walter, things haven't been easy. And
Always the poor mouth. Every time I see her, she's putting on a poor mouth.
I'm just saying things aren't easy.
And for me, do you think it's a picnic? I got enough trouble, and for what? For what? All year I worked like crazy. For what?
A man must work, Walter.
A man must work, Walter.
Yes, that's true. A man must work and live like a person, and not be afraid so that he can sleep without worrying about...
About what?
About a bell ringing at night, or a knock on the door in the morning, or someone touching you on the arm. Yes, it's a nice feeling and a free feeling to be able to walk down the street in the sun with your eyes meeting another man's without wondering if he's...
Shut up! I ain't in trouble against her. Stop mouthing at me. You're always mouthing at me.
You haven't... You know what the judge said the last time, Walter? He was nice. Now he gave you another chance. He saw you were really a good boy, and he gave you another chance. He got you a nice job, and you promised to... You must... Oh, you're all right, Walter. You didn't...
Meatball. A herring on a plate all your life. You're a tomcat in the garbage. You find a fish head and you say, thank you, mister. You chew a fish good and you smile pretty. Well, not for me. You take a chance and you throw away the fish heads. You get one break and you're out of the garbage can for life. You throw with time clocks and shiny pants. You're in a higher brackets and nobody gets you. Yeah, you're a mister with a future. You hold your nose when you walk from the day coach to your compartment. You leave the stinks behind in a pot of dusty air in front of you, and that's for me. One break and you're as hot as a rocket shooting diamonds for sparks.
Walter!
You're a P-38 in a world full of flivvers. A buck gets you two gets you four.
Walter!
Good for one blonde to kick her and a kisser.
Walter!
It's all right. I took another chance. I tried to run it up. No dice. I gotta make it good. Tomorrow morning, I gotta make it good. The books at the office will show it, and I gotta make it good.
How much?
$1,500.
$1,500?
By midnight tonight, $1,500. If I miss that 12:20 for Pittsburgh, it's all up. I might as well take gas.
$1,500. By midnight tonight. Where am I going to get it, Walter?
The bonds. You got the bonds, Papa.
The bonds. How do you think I got you out of the last trouble? Bribes, bail, paying back every dime. Where do you think I got it?
I'll get 10 years. You heard the judge last time.
What can I do? What?
10
What?
years in stir. 10 years. There won't be no reform school this time.
Walter,
Oh, look,
Walter.
please, Ma, please, get me the money. I'll be good. I'll work hard. I won't give you no more trouble, but help me now. Please, Mama, please, will you?
Where can I get it, Walter? I've nothing left. Nothing.
I don't care where you get it. It's your fault, and you gotta help me. I only wanted to help you,
Yes.
and now I'm gonna...
Yes. It is my fault. I've always protected you, but I can't protect you anymore. I'll give you the few dollars I have. Go away. It'll be enough to help you run away. That's all I can do.
You're holding out on me. You're worrying about your old age. You're making yourself a cushy little...
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not intruding.
Who's this?
Oh, Mr. Chalmers. This is Mr. Chalmers, Walter. He has the back bedroom. This is my son, Walter, Mr. Chalmers.
How do you do, Mr. Bates? I feel that I know you very well. Your mother and I sit here in the kitchen sometimes over a cup of tea, and she talks about you for hours and hours. Yes, I can see why Mother is so proud of you. How do you do, Mr. Bates? Yes, you're a fine-looking young man. Mrs. Bates, if you'll excuse me, I'm just going to the corner for my paper. I think that little man with the tiny mustache, you know who I mean, the insurance agent, I think he might call again to collect. Please tell him to go away. You will do that for me, Mrs. Bates.
Yes, Mr. Chalmers.
Thank you, Mrs. Bates. Tell him not to come back any more. I don't want to pay any more on the policy. You remember I told you my nephew was very sick in Spokane?
Yes, Mr. Chalmers.
Well, the poor young man passed away, yes. I was going to leave him a few dollars when I died. But now, well, I have no one left at all. And, well, $1 a week. You'll tell that to the little man with the tiny mustache?
Yes, Mr. Chalmers.
Thank you, Mrs. Bates. Good day, Mr. Bates.
Walter, I have $40 in the house for the rent. You can take that. Drop me a card when you get settled someplace. Let me know where you are. I'll send you some more as soon as I can get it. Maybe later I'll be able to straighten it out. Maybe later I'll be able to speak to your boss. I'll promise to pay back every dime, but you must go away. You must.
Tell me something about Mr. Chalmers. He interests me very strangely.
Walter.
Don't be so nervous, Ma. We got plenty of time. We got till midnight.
Tonight for Suspense, Roma Wines bring you as stars Fay Bainter, Ralph Morgan, and Dane Clark. You have heard them in the prologue to our suspense play this evening, Robert Tallman's story, Life Ends at Midnight. Before we return to the scene of our play, let us journey in fancy to Havana and sit at a table in the gay Restaurant Paris.
At the next table, we see perhaps a farewell party given for an American visitor. The American is wondering how he'll be able to repay in his own country the hospitality shown him in Cuba. Reassuringly, his Cuban host might remark, "Es muy fácil, amigo. Just be sure to serve wonderful Roma wine. It is wine imported by us from your own country. Roma wine." Indeed, Americans can well be proud that judges of fine wines in so many lands now acclaim the wines of California among the world's most enjoyable of all time. Of these truly superb wines, Roma wines are especially honored by the number of countries now importing them for enjoyment as rare luxuries. But Roma wines are not lacking in honors bestowed them here in America, because Roma wines are America's largest selling wines. If you aren't already one of the millions enjoying Roma wines regularly, as a delicious beverage any time, to add sparkle to any meal, to smarten your entertaining, make your own taste test to choose your favorite, choosing from Roma wine's many different wine types. When you learn their modest cost here in America, with no import duty to pay, no expensive shipping charges to absorb, you'll know why we say Roma wines are for your daily enjoyment. I'll spell out the name for you. R-O-M-A, Roma wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
And now it is with pleasure that we bring back to our soundstage Fay Bainter, Ralph Morgan, and Dane Clark in Life Ends at Midnight, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Yes, I do think I'll have another cup if you don't mind, Mrs. Bates.
Now, Mr. Chalmers, suppose you look at it this way. You've been paying $1 a week for how many years now?
I'd say 20 years would be a conservative estimate.
All right, 20 years. Now, let's see, that's $50 a year. Say that's $1,000 you paid in, no?
Yes, $1,000. This coffee cake, Mrs. Bates, is excellent.
You like it? I made it yesterday when
Forget the coffee cake. Now, let's figure percentage. How many more years do you figure to live?
Walter.
Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Bates. After all, I'm an old man, and at my age, one rather, comes to terms with death. It's like the end of a long, busy day. Life ends at midnight, and a new day begins. Yes, Walter, I think you're on the verge of making a very profound observation.
You see?
My policy is for $2,500. And in the days that are left to me, I certainly will not be required to pay in as much as I have already paid out.
That's the exact point. And if you drop it now, will you get anything back? No. You got a straight life with no cash-in value. If you drop the policy now, the insurance company is the winner. But say you live another couple of years. You pay a couple of hundred more. And you leave the $2,500 to somebody. Now, which is a smart thing? I leave it to you.
Yes, I should like to think that when I'm gone, I've left something behind for someone. Mr. Chalmers? Oh, yes, I'll always remember him for this. It's nice to live on in somebody's memory, for a little while after we're dead. But A, I have no one in this world. And B, I must be very, very frank and tell you that I can no longer afford to pay even the $1 a week. You see, I live on a
That's a problem of the most minor importance. For anybody who invests in you now, $1 a week would be gilt-edged. I mean, for instance, well, take my mother here. Now, suppose you made her the beneficiary. Now, suppose she continued to pay the $1 a week. Who can lose on such a deal? Who can lose? Nobody. You get the point?
Oh, no, I couldn't. Why, it's...
Why not? It's simple, huh?
No, Mr. Chalmers, no, you mustn't.
Let Mr. Chalmers aside. Huh, Mr. Chalmers? It makes good sense, no? It makes everybody happy, no?
But we're practically strangers. We just...
What do you mean, strangers? Who's a stranger in this world? We're just little people trying to make each other happy. Huh, Mr. Chalmers? Now, Mr. Chalmers here can die feeling he didn't waste $1 a week for 20 years, and he'll know he'll live in your memory. That's what he wants. Now, why shouldn't he have it? Ain't every man entitled to at least live in somebody's memory?
Yes, but Mr. Chalmers doesn't have to do that. I'll think about him anyway. I promise I will. He don't have...
Let him say something. You're always mouthing. Now, what do you say, Mr. Chalmers?
Oh, that must be the little man with the tiny mustache. I'll tell him I'm keeping the policy and changing the beneficiary. Oh, could you let me have the loan of $1, Mr. Bates?
Hurry it up, will you? The old man's coming home in a minute or two. He takes his nap about this time. I want this ready for him.
Oh, relax, Sonny, relax. I can't finish this job today.
What are you giving me?
It'll take a joint and another length of pipe.
Oh, fix it up. You're a good plumber. You can fix it up for now.
Yeah, the room's pretty small.
Oh.
Why do you want the heater so close to the bed for?
Like I told you, he's got rheumatism. He needs plenty of heat.
Well, I can run a rubber extension, but with gas, I don't like it.
Okay, so with gas, you don't like it, but with gas, we gotta run this heater. The old man's got rheumatics. He can take plenty of gas.
Huh?
The heat, I mean. He needs plenty. What are you doing now?
Tighten this joint.
Look, it's tight enough. Here's your $3 and...
Okay, you're the boss.
Bring your tools the next time.
I won't be in here next time, Sonny.
What are you giving me now?
You can get somebody else to do your dirty work after this. So long, Skippy.
Skippy? Well, come on, Skippy. Pull yourself together. We got work to do. Hiya, Pop.
Well, this is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, this used to be my room. The steam don't come up here so good, so I talked the old lady into fixing this up for you.
Well, that was very thoughtful of you, Walter.
Thanks. I stuffed up the cracks in the window, too. 0 weather. It gets plenty of drafty in this room.
You thought of everything, didn't you, Walter?
Huh? Yeah, it ought to work out just fine.
It'll do the job, I think. I'm going to take a little nap before dinner. Do you think the heater...
Just leave it on. I'll look in after a bit to see if it's okay.
Well, now, you needn't go to all that trouble.
No, it's no trouble at all, Mr. Chalmers. When I do a thing, I like to do it right.
Well, who's there? Is that you, Walter?
Yeah, go on back to sleep, Pop. I'm just turning the heater off. It's getting stuffy in here.
Oh, you're a good, considerate boy, Walter.
Oh, I'll skip it. Go on back to sleep.
Please don't walk so fast, Walter. My feet are hurting me again.
You can buy new shoes tomorrow.
I'd like to know what with.
Maybe you'll have dough tomorrow. Maybe we'll both have some dough.
If a miracle happened.
Maybe miracles do happen. Maybe if you're smart.
Where are you taking me to, Walter?
Nowhere in particular. I thought we'd stroll around the old neighborhood, like old times.
Why, that's a nice idea, Walter, but my feet...
Hello, Mrs. Bates.
Good evening, Officer Flanagan. This is my son, Walter. He's just here from Pittsburgh.
Glad to know you.
How's business, Copper?
Oh, much the same. Vagrancy, petty larceny, once in a while, suicide.
Suicide?
Yeah, that's what they start out to do, but it's harder to get bumped off than most people think.
Huh?
Case just last week over in the next precinct. Dame turned on the gas in her room and lay down on the bed.
What happened?
Nothing. They always bungle somewhere. Amateurs. Gas petered out. She forgot to put a quarter in the meter. 7 o'clock. I got a call in. Well, good night, Mr. Bates.
Good night, officer.
Nice to meet you, Walter.
Ma,
Yes, Walter.
when did you put a quarter in the meter at home?
Why, I don't remember. Goodness, I'd better get some change.
Never mind the change. Come on.
Walter, why did you ask about the gas meter?
What do you think?
Walter, you didn't. That isn't why you put the heater in, Mr. Chalmers.
What do you think?
I don't think anything. I just pray that quarter ran out
Save
before...
your prayers. Of course, if that didn't work, I'll try another way. Either that old cluck is dead before midnight, or I spend 10 years in stir. He's going to be dead before midnight, see? And if you try to make any trouble, you'll be pushing daisies right along with him. Stop sniveling. We're going in there now. Now, look, if it took, scream your head off, or I'll give you a reason to scream.
Gas. I can smell it.
Ah, come on.
Oh, well, good evening, Walter. Mrs. Bates. I was just on my way out.
Oh, Mr. Chalmers, you're all right. You're all right.
Of course he's all right. What's eating you?
I have a slight headache, it's true, but a brisk walk in the open air will cure that, I'm sure.
Hey, will you look at this?
What is it, Walter?
Well, this hose on a heater. Huh. Got unhitched. No wonder you got a headache.
I thought I smelled gas.
Boy, it's lucky for you Mom forgot to put a quarter in the meter.
Providence works in strange ways, doesn't it, Walter? Well, I must be getting on. I'll be coming home rather late, Mrs. Bates, so I'll just let myself in.
How late?
Well, I thought I'd stop at the neighborhood picture house for dinner. That'll be around 9 o'clock. So I imagine I won't be home much before 11.
Mr. Chalmers, there's something I wanted to...
Yes, Mrs. Bates.
Walter's a good boy at heart, you know, but he's been in some trouble lately, and...
Is there anything I can do to help, Walter?
Yeah, plenty. I'll tell you all about it when you get back. Come on, you better run along now, Mr. Chalmers. You don't want to be late for that picture.
Yes, of course. Well, good night, Mrs. Bates.
Mr. Chalmers,
Good night, Mr. Chalmers.
Yes, good night.
Oh, Walter, Walter, no! No, my book, no!
You were going to tell him, weren't you?
Walter.
You'd like to send me to the chair, wouldn't you?
You struck me, Walter. You struck your own mother.
I ought to have messed up your sad monkey face for good.
Oh,
It's
no,
your fault I
but
pulled this up in
why?
the first place. Why didn't you remember to put a quarter on that meter? Why didn't you?
I'm glad I forgot. He wouldn't be alive.
I shouldn't have messed around with gas, trying to spare your feelings, making it look like an accident.
Oh, no.
The thanks I get for it. She wants to blab the whole thing. Turn me in, my own mother.
No, Walter, no, that's not true.
Why, you-
But don't strike me again, Walter. I can't stand it.
Okay. Maybe now you'll cooperate. Now, look, let's put it this way. It's either you or him. If it's you, I don't care whether they get me or not. Are you listening?
Oh, yes, Walter.
Okay, now, like I said, I got very little time to get this thing done. I ought to have done it neat and clean in the first place, like I said. He's old and weak. You just push him over on a bed, hold a pillow over his face for a few minutes, and the job's done. Nobody will ask any questions, a guy that old.
Walter, for the last time, I'm begging.
Okay, make sure it's for the last time. And remember, it's you or him, like I said.
What are you going to do?
Now, look. I'll be waiting in his room when he comes home. I'm shot anyway, so I'll lay down and get 40 winks. You wait up for him. Tell him I've left to catch a train. That's in case he suspects anything. When he comes to his room, I'll take care of the rest of it.
How do you know I won't warn him?
Because it's him or you, like I told you. I don't think you'll warn Mr. Chalmers. And don't try to stall him when he comes in. He's got to be dead by midnight. Or else.
Get the evening paper here. Evening, Mr. Chalmers.
Evening, Joe. I'll have the late edition of the Daily News as usual.
Oh, I saved one out for you, Mr. Chalmers.
Thank you. Good night, Joe.
Good night. There it is, the evening paper.
Oh, by the way, Joe, I almost forgot. Can you give me the change of $1?
Oh, sure, Mr. Chalmers. Yes, here you are. 50, 75, 85, 90, and $1.
Well, thank you. I just happened to think of something I need change for. A little good deed for a friend of mine.
Oh, Mr. Chalmers.
Well, I didn't think you'd be up so late, Mrs. Bates.
I waited up especially. I wanted to talk to you about Walter.
Mrs. Bates, your eye, it's all discolored.
Yes, the light burned out in the bathroom, and when I went to replace it in the dark, that is, I bumped into the door.
Now, I would have thought Walter would have done that for
Oh,
you.
no, Walter didn't. I mean, Walter's left already. He had to catch the 12:20 for Pittsburgh, you know.
But it's only 11 now. The clock...
Perhaps he had some things to do on the way, I mean.
Of course. Well, I'm afraid I must be getting on to bed.
No, not just yet. I mean, won't you sit down for a minute and have a cup of tea with me?
Well, I'd like to, but tea keeps me awake, Mrs. Bates. I'll be getting along to my room now, if you don't mind.
No, don't go into that room, Mr. Chalmers.
Why, Mrs. Bates, whatever's the trouble...
My son, Walter, there's something I must tell you.
Forgive me, Mrs. Bates, but I'm an old man, and I need my rest. If it could possibly wait until morning...
No, it can't wait until morning. It's got to be told before midnight.
What was that? Sounds like someone moving about in the back of the house.
It's one of the shutters. It's loose. The wind...
Oh, you were saying, Mrs. Bates?
Nothing. I can't tell you after all. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to tell it. Afraid.
There, Mrs. Bates. Perhaps in the morning. Try to get some rest.
You're going in there now?
I think that will be the best thing to do all the way around. Don't you, Mrs. Bates? Good night.
No, wait.
Mrs. Bates, What is it, Mrs. Bates?
That smell. Gas. Walter!
Why don't you lie down for a few minutes, Mrs. Bates? I'll call you when the ambulance arrives.
Listen. It's striking 12. Dead before midnight. That's what he said. Dead before midnight.
Poor lad. Fell asleep. If only I hadn't remembered to go back for that change.
You did it? You put the quarter in the meter. That's what turned on the gas that killed him.
Well, you mentioned the gas having gone off and forgetting to put a quarter in the meter. So on the way to the picture house, I just went around to the back entry and dropped the coin. I suppose I should have remembered about the connection being loose on the heater in my room. But I wanted to surprise you with my good deed. I didn't mean to do anything wrong, Mrs. Bates. Truly I didn't.
No. You didn't do anything wrong, Mr. Chalmers. You didn't do anything wrong.
And so closes Life Ends at Midnight, starring Fay Bainter, Ralph Morgan, and Dane Clark. Tonight's tale of Suspense.
Miss Bainter appeared by courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of Madame Curie. Dane Clark is currently being seen in the Warner Brothers production Destination Tokyo. Before Ralph Morgan returns to our microphone, let me give you a suggestion. a suggestion you will find can add to the success of your next dinner party at home. At one end of the dining table, place a bottle of Roma wines, not sweet, not dry, Burgundy. At the other table end, place a bottle of Roma wines, delicately delicious Sauterne. Then, let each of your guests select the Roma wine to his liking. You'll know that whatever the individual choice of a guest, both of these Roma California wines will delight by their superb quality, the quality that has made Roma wines America's largest selling wines. Whichever of Roma wine's many different California wine types you choose at your dealers, the small purchase price he asks will surprise and delight you, while the superb quality of these good Roma wines will win your full accord with the judgment of wine experts of many lands that Roma wines are truly magnificent. Let me repeat the name. R-O-M-A, Roma wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is Ralph Morgan. First, I'm sure I speak for all of us, Miss Bainter, Mr. Clark, and myself, in saying how much we have enjoyed appearing on Suspense this evening. We will all be listening, as we hope you will, next week when Miss Agnes Moorehead is your star in one of the most talked-about plays ever to be presented in this series, called Sorry, Wrong Number. And now one more word. Here's something our fighting men may never forget. The price of victory is sacrifice. You help bring the victory nearer when you make the sacrifices that make it possible for you to buy more war bonds. Thank you.
Suspense is produced and directed by William Spear. Don't forget then next Monday for Agnes Moorehead in Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That was Life Ends at Midnight as originally broadcasted on February 17, 1944. Here we go with Edgar Allan Poe written classic of suspense of The Pit and the Pendulum as it originally aired on January 12, 1943.
Suspense. This is your narrator, the Man in Black, again about to introduce tonight's Columbia program, Suspense. The story is The Pit and the Pendulum by Edgar Allan Poe, the adaptation by John Dixon Carr. Our guest is the distinguished American actor, Mr. Henry Hull, who plays the part of a prisoner of the Spanish Inquisition. If you've been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery, suspicion, and dangerous adventure, to hold you in a precarious situation and withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so it is with The Pit and the Pendulum and Mr. Hull's performance. We again hope to keep you in suspense. And now, The Pit and the Pendulum. I was sick unto death with that long agony. And when at length they unbound me and I was permitted to sit, I felt that my senses were leaving me. The sound of the inquisitorial voices seemed merged in one dreamy, indeterminate hum. Yet, for a while, I saw, but without terrible an exaggeration, I saw the soft and nearly imperceptible waving of the sable draperies on the walls of the room. I saw the flames of the 7 tall candles which burned on the table. I saw the lips of the black hooded judges, and these lips appeared to me white as paper, white as horror. I saw them writhe
with a deadly locution. I saw them fashion the syllables of my name.
Jean Delbray. Captain Jean Delbray.
Good fathers, gentlemen.
We hear you, my son.
I am very weak and infirm. I've been confined for many months in a dungeon. I've been tormented by nightmares.
Conscience, one trusts. Pray silence, Fra Antonio.
Even now, I have no knowledge of where I am or to whom I may be speaking.
You are speaking to me, my son. I am Fra Pedro de Espela, prior of the Dominicans of Segovia and Grand Inquisitor of all Spain.
Is this the court of the Inquisition?
It is.
Oh, then God help me.
He will help you, my son, if you trust him.
But I am a French officer.
That is true. A soldier and creature of the arch-fiend Napoleon Bonaparte.
But a French officer nonetheless. A prisoner of war. By what right do you try me in this court?
Let the clerk read the charges against this prisoner. Pray silence while the clerk reads the charges.
The charges against the prisoner are as follows. Imprimis, that he is one Jean d'Albret, a captain of artillery in the army of Bonaparte, so-called Emperor of the French.
This means nothing, as the prisoner says. It is no crime. Proceed.
Item, that on the 4th day of September in the year of our Lord 1808, that said Jean d'Albret did wed, espouse, and marry the most noble lady, the Doña Beatriz Valdez, niece of and ward of the illustrious...
One moment.
Your Excellency spoke.
Antonio, was any cheat employed to trap this girl into marriage against her will?
No, we have no actual evidence of any cheat.
Was the girl of age?
I believe so.
Then wherefore is the prisoner here? This marriage was a deplorable thing, if you like. Bonaparte himself is almost at the gates of Madrid. His general, the Tsar, menaces our city of Toledo itself. But lawful marriage, however regrettable, is no sin or crime.
There are other matters in the indictment, I think.
Then continue, but give us nothing that is not material.
Item, that on the 12th of October, 1808, the said Jean d'Albret, being in command of a 5-gun battery of light artillery, did direct the fire of his guns against the Holy Church of St. Martha the Innocent.
What?
And thereby of his wicked malice destroyed that church utterly.
Captain d'Albret, is this charge true?
It is, yes.
You admit it?
Good father, hear what I have to say. The church blew up, I think.
Would you boast of your sin, young man?
It blew up because it was stored with kegs of gunpowder for your army. I had every right to fire on it.
And that is all the defense you have to make?
I tell you, I had every right to fire on it. By military law, there was...
Is military law above God's law?
I don't know. I did my duty, that's all. Long live the Emperor!
Captain d'Albret, mark what I say. No man, however great his heresy, is ever condemned to be burnt in the fire.
Fire?
The fire. If he first recant and acknowledge the error of his ways. But for you, Jean d'Albret, there can be no mercy, no pity, no atonement. The only sentence of this court can be death. Death.
Yes.
The secular or government arm to which we must release you has devised 2 ways of punishment in cases such as yours. You hear the tolling of the bell?
I hear them.
It is the procession of the condemned going to the auto da fe.
Soon the yellow light of the flames will stream through the windows and flicker on floor and ceiling.
Nunc et in hora mortis intuit manibus Domine. Most of those condemned out of mercy will be strangled before they are burned. It cannot be so with you, Jean d'Albret. You must die in one of 2 ways. Either with the direst of physical agony.
A slow fire of green wood, iced bandages about the head and the heart, so that the fire does not approach too quickly.
Or else, Jean d'Albret, you must die in a certain other way.
Have done with this. Pass your sentence and let me go.
The law does not permit me to tell you now what this other way is. The sentence of this court, therefore...
I had swooned. Yet still, I would not say that all of consciousness was lost. In the deepest slumber, no. In delirium, no. In a swoon, no. In death, no. Even in the grave, all is not lost. There are shadows of memory which tell us indistinctly of tall figures that lifted me and bore me in silence down, still down, until a hideous dizziness oppressed me at that descent into the earth. Then, as consciousness swam back to my wits, darkness, a stone floor, and darkness. Oh, Beatrice. Beatrice, my wife, Beatrice.
Did you call me, Jean?
Beatrice, was that you who spoke?
Yes, Jean.
You were here in the dungeons of the Inquisition.
I am not really speaking to you, my poor Jean. I am only in your imagination.
Am I mad, then?
No. But your brain is fevered. You only think you hear me.
No, I do. I hear you clearly. As clearly as I once heard you.
In the little church near the Ebro where we were married.
Yes. I destroyed that church, Beatrice. I had to. It was my commanding officer's order.
I know, Jean. Be comforted. There are those who care.
You won't leave me.
As long as I am in your heart, I shall be here.
I was strong once. Now I am weak. Once I was reckless. Now I'm afraid. What am I, Beatrice? What are they going to do to me?
I cannot tell. Remember, my voice comes only from your own brain. Are you fettered?
Fettered? No.
They've not chained you to the wall.
No. They've taken away my uniform. They've given me sandals and a robe of what feels like coarse serge, but I'm still free. Free.
Take courage, Jean.
Free. And in the grasp of the Inquisition. Beatrice.
Yes, Jean.
It's completely dark. There's hardly any air. I dread to get up. I dread to stretch out my hand. Suppose they've buried me alive.
Courage. Can you stand up?
I think so, yes.
Then walk. Walk as far as you can. Measure the limit of the cell. If this is not a tomb...
You're right, Beatrice, as always. I'll try.
Are you on your feet?
Yes, now pray. Pray for a poor devil who always meant well. 1 pace, 2 paces, 3, 4.
You are very weak, Jean. Rest a moment.
Where are you now, Beatrice? In the flesh, I mean.
You know that, Jean. In the old house by the olive grove. Scorned of my people.
Yes, I know it.
Each morning I climb to the hilltop and watch.
Go on.
Sometimes I think I hear gun wheels
Yes.
rumble in the hills.
Yes.
And long-moving columns
Yes.
with the red dust rising about
Go
them.
on!
First come the heavy cavalry in plume-crested helmets.
Yes.
On their flanks, wheeling like hawks, light hussars in blue and scarlet. And behind them, in a glitter of bayonets as vast as light points on the sea,
Yes.
rank upon
Yes.
rank, the long gray coats and the tall bearskin caps.
The old guard and the Grand Army.
It is only a vision, my dear one. They do not come.
Will they? Will they ever come, Beatrice?
I cannot tell.
Then I must face what has been prepared for me.
Walk again, Jean. Try. Keep your hand in front of you.
This robe, it impedes me, and the floor is treacherous with slime. But I'll try. 4 paces. 5, 6, 7.
It can't be a tomb.
8, 9.
Look out!
I'm all right. I fell to my knees. The robe tripped me. My hand is in front of me. It's lower than my face, but I feel nothing.
Nothing, Jean.
It's a pit. A circular pit. And I fell on the very edge of it.
Oh. They would have made you walk into it.
Yes. Oh, there's a loose fragment of rock just inside the edge. Now, if I can dislodge it. Listen.
Water.
There's something down there.
Rats, it may be.
Rats, yes, but something else. I heard it move.
So did I. What is in the pit, Jean?
I don't know.
But you're saved.
Saved, Beatrice. Saved from the Inquisition. My torture has been merely postponed.
A deep sleep fell upon me. Sleep like that of death. How long it lasted, I know not. But when I opened my eyes once again, I could see. Yes, see. My prison was large and lofty. Its walls formed of massive iron plates, bolted or joined together. A wild, sulphurous luster, I could not trace its origin, lit up the dungeon, and the circular pit, and the crudely daubed skeleton figures painted in evil colors on the iron walls. Skeleton figures, demon figures, gargoyle figures. Their colors a little blurred, as from the effects of the damp.
It must approach you slowly and force itself into your mind.
It must stalk you like a tiger.
It must bring you face to face, at last, with the King of Terrors.
When I regained consciousness, I lay on my back and at full length on a low framework of wood. To this framework, I was securely bound by a long fastening resembling a surgical bandage. Bound? But why? Why? The bandage passed round and round my body, leaving at liberty only my head and my left arm. With much exertion, I could supply myself with food from an earthen dish on the floor beside me. It was meat, highly seasoned, but there was no water.
Beatrice! Beatrice, where are you?
Here, Jean, as always.
Your voice sounds stronger.
Does it, Jean?
And I can see you now. I can see you as clearly as I saw you months ago.
How I wish it were true.
Your bonnet and the parasol you carried in summer, and the high-waisted blue dress.
You are weaker, my dear, and more fevered.
Have I been asleep?
Yes, John.
They must have been here while I slept. They bound me. Why?
Stop those voices! Stop them!
Mine too, Jean. I am not here either, you know. Don't drive me away.
Beatrice, look.
Where?
At the ceiling of this room, 30, 40 feet up, what do you see?
I see painted on the ceiling a figure of Father Time.
Anything else?
But Father Time carries no sign.
No.
He carries instead what looks like a gigantic pendulum from an ancient clock.
About one thing, I swear I'm in my right senses. I saw that pendulum move.
A painting cannot move.
Yet I swear the pendulum did move. It swung a little back and forth, just like a real pendulum.
Try not to trouble your brain.
That pendulum is real. Beatrice, take care.
Take care of what? You're not looking at the pendulum now.
Take care of the rats from the pit.
I see them.
They're swarming out in dozens. You can see their eyes glitter. One of them ran across the hem of your dress.
Did it, Sean?
What did they want?
They caught the scent of the meat in the dish beside
But
you.
they'll not get it. Go away, you vermin!
Move your hand above the plate, Jean. Move.
Beatrice, where are you going? I can hardly hear you.
You are sending me away, Jean.
I sending you away?
My poor loved one. You can't bear to see the rats running about my feet.
Beatrice! Beatrice!
Yes, it's true. In a cell swarming with vermin. There are others I had rather see here. I'd rather see.
Did you call me Captain Dalbray? Then in spirit I am here.
Who are you?
Don't you recognize me?
No, I do not.
I am that second Inquisitor, Fra Antonio, whom you thought unfair at your trial. But we were not unfair. We administer the law, that is all.
Go. I command you, go.
Not until I have first told you what you already guessed.
Which is?
There are two forms of death for such as you.
One, death with its direst physical torture. The other, death with its direst mental torture.
And I have been condemned to the second.
Your guess is good. Listen. Do you hear anything?
Yes, I do. I hear something.
Turn your eyes upwards. Look at the ceiling.
The pendulum.
Aye, the pendulum.
It's descended.
Only a foot or so as yet. As you notice, it is not really a pendulum. Its underside is a crescent, formed of razor-sharp steel.
You mean?
A ponderous weight, Captain Dalbray. Its movement is slow now, but soon it will take on momentum. It will swing wider and wider, 30 feet perhaps. Presently, as it swings, you will hear it hiss, and with each broad movement, it will creep a trifle lower.
The steel is directly above me.
Yes, above the region of your heart. Lie still and look up at it.
How long before?
You need have no immediate fear. It will not be too soon.
But how soon?
Who can tell?
In the name of pity, give me some answer.
Hours, perhaps days.
It's beginning to swing wider. I can't take my eyes from it.
Its glitter fascinates you, eh? See how it shines in that wild light.
And this is your utmost refinement in cruelty.
The law, Captain Dalbray, is never cruel. And now, still in spirit, I leave you to your meditations. It will not be too soon. Minutes, hours, days.
Down, steadily down it crept. Days passed. It might have been many days before it swept so closely as to fan me with its morbid breath. Minutes, hours, days. The odor of the sharp steel forced itself into my nostrils. The right, to the left, far and wide. The shriek of a damned spirit. To my heart, with the stealthy pace of a tiger. Down. Certainly, relentlessly down. I prayed. I wearied heaven with my prayer for its more speedy descent. I grew frantically mad and struggled to force myself up against that swinging, glittering death. No avail. Down, still unceasingly, still inevitably down, the sharp steel flashed past within 3 inches of my chest. Beatrice!
John?
Beatrice, Beatrice, where are you?
I heard you calling, John. I am here.
It is a strange thing, Beatrice. I'm quite calm.
You are resigned, then?
No. That is the strange thing. Even now, I am not resigned.
Is there a way out?
How can there be? 10, 12 more vibrations, and will fray the serge of my robe. Only lightly as a razor in a delicate hand. There will be many sweeps before it bites deep. No, I can't escape it.
You kept me away from you, John. You locked me out of your thoughts. If I am here only in your thoughts, why should I fear the rats?
The rats!
You open your eyes and your eyes blaze. What is it?
The rats! Do they still swarm here?
Across the floor and over the meat platter. They have taken nearly all your food.
Yes, of course, they're ravenous, and they have sharp teeth.
Well...
The meat is oily and spiced. If I take what remains of it, scatter, you vermin! And rub that meat from the bandages that hold me here.
Try it, John, try.
It may be too late. If I leave my body a fraction of an inch up.
Try it, I tell you, try.
Ah, but look, they scatter as soon as I do try.
But they are watching you. I can see their eyes glitter. They're creeping back.
Can I stand the rats crawling across me? Can the flesh bear it?
One of them has leaped on the wooden framework. Another follows. They're gnawing at the bandage.
7, 8 more sweeps of the pendulum.
But the bandage, give way.
A little
lie still, Jean, lie still.
10, 12, a dozen rats now. Is death, I wonder, worse than this disgust?
A dozen sharp knives could do no better. The bandage is loosened to ribbons. Now, if you move sideways, carefully, and drop to the floor.
Beatrice, I can't move. My arms and my legs are numb. There is no power.
The steel has frayed your robe. A minute more will be too late. Try.
Then, with all the strength that is in me, and all the hate that I bear my enemies...
Free!
A second time. Free!
Jean. The pendulum stops. They are drawing it back up through the roof.
Each move I make is watched. You never doubted.
Yet with all they could do to you, they have failed twice.
They will not fail. No more dallying with the king of terrors.
What else can they do?
I can't say. See how the rats gnaw in silence at that bandage. To what food, I wonder?
But you escaped the pit.
I escaped it once. Listen.
What do you hear?
A groaning. It's a grinding as of metal.
It was only the cogwheels of the pendulum.
I think not, Beatrice.
Why not?
It seemed to come from behind those iron-plated walls. It seems to shake the dungeon as a mill wheel might shake it.
Stand up, my poor Jean. Get up off your knees.
I can't, Beatrice. I can't endure anymore.
The paintings on the walls of this dungeon, the skeletons and imps and devils, they seem different.
They are different. The colors sharpen and grow bright. The demon's eyes glare. The skeleton hands outstretch. Don't you catch even yet the odor of heated iron?
Heated iron?
Beatrice, my darling, I have been much humbled. But I won't have you see me in tears. I order you to go.
John, in the name of heaven.
Beatrice.
You're sending me away.
Yes,
John.
in the name of heaven. Go. A suffocating heat pervaded the prison. A deeper glow settled in the painted eyes that glared at me. I could draw no breath of air into my lungs. Against the loom of that fiery destruction, the thought of the pit and its coolness come like a soothing balm. I staggered to the edge of the pit. I looked into it. The enkindled walls and roof lighted it to its depths. Yet for one wild moment, even then, I refused to believe the horror of what I saw beneath me.
Does the pit please you, Captain Dalbray?
Not the pit! Merciful God, anything but that!
And how shall you avoid it? Look.
This dungeon has changed its shape.
That is true. The walls are closing in. It was formerly a square. And now it is
flattening slowly toward the center to force me into the pit.
Of course.
It'll force you along with me.
Again, apparently you must be told, Captain Dalbray, that you are speaking only to your own sick fancy. I am not here at all. Farewell.
And now closer and closer through the red burning walls, forcing me into the pit with a swiftness that left me no time for thought. I shrank back, but the closing walls pressed me relentlessly onward. At length, for my seared and writhing body, there was no longer an inch of foothold. I screamed once. I tottered on the edge of the pit. The walls rushed back. An outstretched arm caught my own as I was about to fall fainting into the abyss. It was that of General LaSalle. The French army had entered Toledo. The Inquisition was in the hands of its enemies.
Vive la fin!
And so closes Poe's celebrated story, The Pit and the Pendulum, starring Henry Hull. We invite you to another adventure of suspense next Tuesday at the same hour. Until then, this is the Man in Black saying good night.
William Spear, the producer, John Dietz, the director, Bernard Herrmann, the composer-conductor, and John Dixon Carr, the author, are collaborators on
Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That was Suspense's The Pit and the Pendulum as it originally broadcasted on January 12, 1943. Well, that is it for Air Checks. Stay tuned for more Halloween theme in the month of October as it continues. Air Checks is a 3-hour podcast split into 1-hour segments and is uploaded every Saturday and Sunday. See you at the same time and the same channel.